I need the stretch. I'm really good at chair dancing. Like if you only saw me chair dance, you would feel like she gives it to you.
And then you get in the club and she's stiff.
Yeah, I know. I am
One old
horrible.
grandma
Stand
sway.
up, I am bad. But when I'm sitting down, you like he listen. He know the dance steps. He just got a bad foot, and that's that.
Give him an old house coat.
I don't want a house coat. Maybe a little shawl. It's a little nippy outside right now. Anyway, everybody, I would like to welcome you to Conversations with Hannibal and Jupiter.
Thank you guys. Audience is so great.
They look wonderful tonight. Y'all is just really giving us everything. Anyway, I would like to say hello. I am Jupiter, Butter Pecan.
And I am Hannibal, that dark chocolate that only comes out in the holiday season.
Mm.
And I wonder
and I'm Emmy. I thought you were going to say, and special guest, but I guess I'll introduce myself. I'm Emmy. I'm
okay. You're gonna have to start that all the way over, and we're gonna have to edit that out because clearly we didn't need all of that extra.
I thought you were going to introduce.
Well, he's from Detroit, so they know it.
I don't know it.
I saw a Detroit video today, and a girl ran out the house with a hoe at somebody, child. I was like, okay, I like it, but they got the point. They got the point,
right?
Anyway, so I would like to introduce our special guest, aka French Vanilla. This is Hemi. How are you?
I'm great, guys. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Well, it's, we have a new set here and everything like that. So it's a new year, new set, new you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Anything interesting happened with you guys today? Ooh, Hannibal got a little gin and juice over there. That's nice to see.
I drank up all the shine.
Oh,
I didn't know we were supposed to have cocktails.
Generally, we do have a little cocktail going, but
I drank mine prior to this.
So
yeah,
we wanted a sober house tonight. With this topic, we decided to be sober, but. Thanks for trying to bring alcohol on the set, but we're not doing that anymore.
Anytime, it's what I'm here for.
Yeah. The producers said with the alcohol, we get a little too zany, so didn't want to.
They told me to come in and shake it up.
Okay, so it's just shaking it up. Anything fun, new, exciting happened with you today, Hemi?
No, just got some piping hot tea from you, but that's not the topic of today's discussion, but that was the. We'll leave that there.
Hannibal, anything interesting going on in the boondocks? I mean, the countryside? I mean, Alabama? So that's a no and a no. Good.
That girl tried it, honey. No, we just had some really bad weather down here today. Really bad weather. So, nope, that's it.
We did it in Atlanta, and I was a little upset because I wanted to get off work today, come home, just, chillax, just luxuriate, have a good afternoon. But I had to go pick my child up from school because they canceled all the services after school. So I had to pick him up and didn't want him walking to the train station in his white sneakers because my mother would have went crazy. So, whatever. But speaking of white sneakers, today I thought, a part of our gay social political topics that we would talk about colorism in the Black gay community. And seeing that all three of us are of different shades of the Black gay community, Hemi, we really have never spoke about, do you identify yourself as part of the Black gay community, being so light-skinned complected? But we'll talk about that after the show.
Tried it.
All the way around, you tried.
I just want to reach over there and just get him for you. Ooh, tried it.
I'm blacker than you are on the inside.
Light-skinned people always say that. So anyway, So, I mean, honestly, with us, we all know where colorism started, and it's always been the brown paper bag test and all of that stuff. But do we see this as something that's going on in our community that is a problem that we've either faced, or we see it and go, "Hey, I see that."
So I think it is still going on in our community, and you see it amongst different blacks in different areas. So, say for instance, in Atlanta, which is like a black mecca, right? You have your different levels of black there. And sometimes your extra dark people like me are sometimes passed over when people are looking for relationships, unless you have the money or you have the A1 job. You're just looked over. A regular old black guy like me sitting at the bar would not be your first pick. People are going to run to the high yellows, to no offense, Hemi. They're going to run to the high yellow guys to who they find to be a little more attractive, because society tells you that light skinned guys are more attractive, light skinned guys are the way to go, and light skinned guys are nice. But society also tells you that dark skinned guys are going to be cheaters, dark skinned guys are not going to be faithful, dark skinned guys are going to be broke, dark skinned guys are going to be, everything negative, and even when you pay attention to the news, just how the news addresses people. When there is a person of color in the news, you're addressed in a more negative manner than you are when you're a person who is not of color. So I just take that into context when I'm talking about this subject. I feel like Hemi's finna read me to the floor. Let me get on down there now.
You just better put yourself down on the floor, Ratty.
So I'm not gonna read you to the floor. I just don't 100% agree. So I get that people. So 60 years ago, I get that you would have been passed over, and I would have got the job, whether you were more qualified than me or not. And I still think that there is some colorism today. I don't think it's as bad as it was then, because you have so many people in like celebrity positions who are darker skinned, who are bringing, black is beautiful to the forefront. And like a lot of times on Facebook, I see people saying, "Oh, I don't want a light skinned guy. I want a dark skinned guy. Just dark skinned guys are everything." So I think it's more of a kind of how you were raised, what your parents liked. If you grew up with a mama who is into Idris Elba, or daddy who is into Idris Elba and Morris Chestnut and, darker skinned guys, it may be what you're taught to like. And so I think because you have more darker skin representation in Hollywood, and they're more recognized in sports and everything else, I don't think it's as prevalent as it was.
I would say that I think that in our community, I have found that in a lot of our media, when we see things, when you see like people posting ads for flyers and things like that, I've noticed that like the dark skinned brothers who are very muscular tend to come across as more menacing or aggressive. And then there are like the light skinned guys that are kind of more feminine, and they kind of wafy, and they kind of throw them in. And that's what I've seen. And sometimes you'll see that in some of, these videos that are put out. It's like the person that is the dominant person or the top in this situation tends to be a dark skinned guy. And then the person that is the bottom or the, penetrated person, they tend to be light skinned. And so sometimes I'll see that. I can't say that per se because I'm in the middle that I've had one thing work another. I can say like a lot of times colorism has affected me when I've been around white people, when they've kind of said to me like, "Oh, you're not like other black people." And I was like, "I don't, like, what do you mean?" But I know what they mean. But in the community, yeah, I can see it's still out there. No, it's not as bad as 60 years ago, like you said, Hemi. But there is something out there where, sometimes it feels as if like I'm into dark skinned guys. It's kind of a new thing to say, like saying Black Lives Matter, which we don't have to say that because we already know our lives matter. But that's just what I've seen, you know. I've noticed that even when you see relationships, sometimes in our community, we do tend to go to what's cute. And you see it a lot in media where everybody's biracial and it's okay to be biracial. And no one is saying that on this show at all, that it's not okay to be biracial, but you're just seeing, sometimes the gay community can be a bit whitewashed in its ideas, but come across as like, oh, I'm down for the cause.
Right.
So,
girl, you're not.
But you're really not.
I can agree with that.
Pity.
100%.
Do you ever have a situation where you felt like being light skinned has changed things for you? Like people treat you different?
Absolutely not. I have never experienced where I felt like my skin color gave me a one up. At least I haven't had that moment. Or I was oblivious to it if it happened. So I can't say that I have ever had a moment where I felt like my lighter complexion gave me a one up on anyone else that I am cognizant of. That's what I will say.
Have people ever questioned if you were biracial in any way? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So where I live at in Detroit is, so my small areas, like growing up, used to be predominantly Black, but it's called Southwest Detroit. But the majority of Southwest Detroit is a Latino community. So whenever I would say I'm from Southwest Detroit, they would say, "Oh, you mixed with Mexican or Puerto Rican?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm just Black." All the way Black.
That's Black. That's it. Nothing special, just so, Black.
I have definitely been asked that question all my life. What am I mixed with? But I'm like Robin and Giselle. I'm just Black.
You're just Black.
Just Black, honey.
The Real Housewives of Detroit is coming this fall. But Maurice, when you said that you feel like you go out in the community, do you feel like, because you are a tall guy too, do you think that adds to people's perceptions of you being dark skinned and like a bigger frame person?
So I think in the community, I think people automatically look at me and, well, first off, I get told that I am very, I give off cop. Like my presence is very cop. Like, get away from me. I'm police officer. Leave me alone. And I can't turn it off. So I don't know how to turn it off. I tried sitting at the bar one time, just smiling at people. It freak people out. Don't do that. Like, they'll arrest you. They'll arrest you for it. You can't sit at bars and smile at people.
I just feel like when I met you, I didn't get caught, but maybe because I don't have warrants, I don't know, but I just didn't get caught from you.
But I was a cop. I was a cop for 4 years, and then I worked in law enforcement. I've been a fireman before, so I've done all different aspects of law enforcement before. So I get it when people tell me that about my stature, but in the community, I often just get like told that I give a hard presence up front. Now in the professional arena, people don't like a big, dark-skinned Black gay man, is what I have found. Especially with me working in the security arena, when they see big Black like this, they want big Black straight. They don't want big Black gay at all because they feel that you're going to be a pushover. They felt that you're going to be less likely to be what they're looking for in that type of arena. So, and if I was probably thinner, then I could get away with being flamboyant on the job, right? but I find myself masking. I find myself masking on the job because as a darker, big black gay man, I can't fall into the roles that I feel comfortable in because I have to keep a job. In the community, I can't fall into the roles that I feel comfortable in because people think I look like the damn predator at the end of the bar. So there we go. And this is how I'm single.
And we don't condone predatory behavior. So if that is what you're doing at the end of the bar, we would ask you not to do that.
Just sat at the bar and
I agree.
smiled, and all of a sudden my hands were like this, like, oh my God. Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
saying, I would just ask that you don't do that. And we here at the Hannibal and Jupiter show, we don't condone that. So that's just very important. Do you think that there's a way that we can change this? Like, how do we change the narrative of colorism within the gay community?
So I
Give me a
can't.
lot of
I
blue.
do want to just reiterate one thing. I'm sorry. In regards to colorism, so I have gotten a lot, especially back in the day when I was shyer and I didn't really smile or talk. That people would say, "Oh, you were just light skinned and stuck up." Like they would just assume because I'm lighter skinned that I was stuck up and had attitude because I wasn't smiling and I wasn't talking. Like they weren't afraid of me like Hannibal, but they thought I was gonna have a crappy attitude. And then they would get to know me and be like, "Oh, I thought you were gonna be someone totally different. I thought you were gonna have a bad attitude and be all into yourself, and that's not who I am."
So how do you take those comments? Like when somebody was like, "Oh, he acting all light skinned," or you know, he real uppity and bougie. Like, is it offensive to you, or like you're like, "I'm so over it"?
So in the beginning, I wasn't even really hearing the light skin part. I was hearing just the stuck up. So like on even though I was on the opposite spectrum of Hannibal, I would try to smile more and be like, "No, I'm friendly. Look at me." Fake
Right.
laughing in the club so people would think I'm approachable. I used to do the same thing.
So you were the friendly light skinned one.
I used to get it so much like you just look mean and stuck up, and so I would fake it until people would be like, "Oh, look, you look happy." Do I? Okay, good. It's working. But I've never really like for maybe years later I caught on like they keep calling me light skin and I don't think I'm that light. Or maybe that's in the summer that I look at myself and I don't think I'm that light. But
I mean, if you can clearly see us three by each other, it's not like your lights are whitewashing you or anything like that to make you.
So now you're talking about me.
I'm just saying we are not trying to, fool the audience by putting more light on you to make you look lighter than us too. That's not what's happening. That is your true skin tone, and you own it. But in a sense, like, how do we change that? Like, how do we change the idea that people think that light skinned guys is all stuck up or dark skinned guys are aggressive? Like, is there an antidote? Because we all are falling into, like I said, Black Lives Matter. So we act as if like we're all a united front, but it's not the case. We know that historically, a lot of times when men are looking for a woman, especially if he's dark skinned to have a child with, a lot of times he goes for a light skinned woman or a Latino woman or something like that to change, what their children will look like. So in our community, we don't have that so much because there's not a lot of babies coming out of homosexual procreation. So
Bet there are none. Bet there are none.
But then again, Hemi is not within the community, so this may not be something he can answer. So I don't know. Like, I feel like there's a cop, there's a straight guy here, so I feel like it's kind of a village people kind of vibe going on. Because you do read straight. I'd be like, it's the hoodie, the ball cap, like, I'm expecting you to start smoking a blunt. Like, I mean, very stereotypical. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm completely stereotyping you. But
you are, absolutely.
You're welcome. But
Wow, the
Hannibal.
after show conversation after this one.
Right.
So Hannibal, what would you say could be changed? When you, because you've seen like you've been the most negatively affected by it. What do you think some change should be?
I think people can just really open their minds up and truly interact with people that you wouldn't normally interact with. I think speed dating is one of the best things that's out there because you don't really get the option to choose who you're talking to for 5 to 8 minutes, right? So you're just kind of randomly going to table, and normally there's a person that directs you where to go. And so you may have an interaction with someone that you wouldn't normally have that interaction with. And so to me, that's a great way of not necessarily correcting it, but getting you to open your mind up. Another way is to, child, just go out there and do something different. If you ain't never been with a chocolate person, go get your old chocolate stick out there. If you ain't never been with your old light bright, go get your old light bright out there. I mean, just do something different. It's 2023. Do something.
So speed dating or sex, those are your ways for the gay community to eradicate colorism in the gay community. Got it. That's it. Right?
I think you just have to, if you want to change something, you have to just be willing to put yourself out there. So if you want people to see you in a different light, and that's what I learned, you have to be willing to open up and show them who you are. As somebody who was, and you might not believe this, but I was definitely shy as a kid. And so I didn't make a lot of friends as a kid, except for my three best friends that I'm still best friends with now. We all grew up together since we were 5, but I ended up doing performing arts and stuff in high school and college, and that kind of opened me up to be able to, or forced me, I should say, to have to talk to people and let people get to know me. And I, like I said before, once people get to know me and not just see me from afar standing on the corner, or not on the corner, that sounds so inappropriate, just standing around. They say, oh, you're so much sweeter than I thought you were. You're so much nicer. You're not who I thought you were going to be. So sometimes, and that could even be a speed dating moment. Like I'm sure when you walk into speed dating, I'm sure you look at everybody in the room and you might be like, oh no, not that one. But then you sit down.
You have no choice.
And they change your mind when you actually, they put themselves out there to actually talk to you and get to know you. So I think that's a big part of changing the narrative is representation and stepping out and showing people who we are.
I think a lot of times we're always being exclusive, that we have to find ways to be more inclusive with each other. And I think that when you find things that you have in common, meaning it could be outdoor activities. Maybe you want to be some kind of extreme sports Barbie and go rock climbing and hiking and mountain biking. Just figuring out what are those ways to diminish that in the process. And when I mean diminish it is that we see things going on. I think a lot of times if it's not like directed straight to us, we don't say anything. And so hearing the statements like, oh, he cute for a dark skinned guy. Like, come on now, don't say that. Like, you can't say things like that. Like, that's like colorism 101. That's saying if he was light skinned, we wouldn't have to say he's, cute for a light skinned guy. We just would say that's it. And so I feel like when we hear these things and we hear these terms, we have to be that catalyst of change to say, come on now. It's 2023. We don't talk like this no more. Like, this needs to stop. And if, I don't want to go speed dating. So, that's a great little idea.
We're going to do that at NAB.
I'm not doing speed dating.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
So NAB is in our Mardi Gras.
Listen, I don't want to, listen. This is my thing about speed dating. I feel like I actually literally just did that. So I feel like I'm not good at speed dating.
So you need some practice.
No, I don't. No,
Yeah,
no.
maybe we
You
should
need
get
to
them all
practice.
in the same room and let you practice.
No, I think I do a speed dating with a one-on-one person at a time, and then I change venues and I
That's not
speed
speed
date.
dating.
Yes, that's my
That's
interpretation.
just
of
dating.
speed dating.
That's called Leonard dating. I mean, Jupiter
Right.
dating.
And we're
And
gonna
how's
leave.
that been working out for you?
So on
Okay,
that
so
note,
you're gonna go speed
everybody,
dating.
we are going to close this show out. And we would like to thank our special guest all the way from Detroit. I was going to say the Windy City there, but that's Chicago, so I won't say that. What are you guys known for? Like, what is your slogan?
Cars,
Motor
Motor
City.
City, fool.
The Motor City. Okay.
Home of the Monte Carlo.
I don't know what a Monte Carlo is, so I'm sorry.
Oh, your gayness is show. No.
I have a Toyota. I don't know.
They built Chevrolet there. Cadillac is home in Detroit. Pontiac was there. Buick, Oldsmobile come out of Detroit. Chrysler comes out of Detroit. The Motor freaking City.
I've never had any of those cars. No, at one time I did have I had a Ford F-150 one time, and then I had a Jeep.
We have all the Ford, most of the Ford plants are here.
Okay, so I just had one. I had one. So don't fight me. It's unnecessary. So, like I said, we want to thank again nicely our special guest, Emmy, for joining us from the Motor City. And you're very welcome. Not sure it'll happen again. But anyway, stop making me laugh. So, from me, Jupiter, and Hannibal, we would like to thank you for sharing your experience, because I think a lot of times we don't talk about our experiences, we talk about a situation. So thank you very much, and good night, everybody. Don't forget, before we go, that every week we publish new content, and so hit the subscribe button. Also hit the bell to be notified about future videos and content. And also don't forget, never ever forget, we do read the comments. So post anything you would like to see us put on this show, and
tell them you want me to come back.
Right, like you, yeah. Yeah, somebody's trying to be a third co-host. I see how this works. It's okay.
I have a little bit of a takeover spirit, but that's okay.
I see. We're looking for unpaid interns right now.
Oh, I can't accept that position.
Because we're unpaid interns ourselves, so that's what we're saying. We literally take over this set when Sherry Shepherd leaves. So
right. You're the Elizabeth Hasselbeck of the show.
Exactly. So thank you, everybody, and good night.
Good night. Bye.
Oh my God.